So today I'm going to show you a cheap dish that I learned to make that was inspired by Rainforest Cafe. As you can see, the items are very inexpensive. Get the water in the pot for the pasta. Get that going. Doesn't take long to heat up. And the kielbasa is chopped up. And we're going to turn that to about medium. Let that warm up. And as it warms up, you don't want to put it on too high. I put it on medium and I let it warm up in the pan because you're not trying to cook the beef or the kielbasa. You just want to warm it up and let it sweat some of the juices out because that's going to add a lot of flavor to the sauce. So we're just going to let that sit for a minute while it warms up. I also got this. It's really inexpensive at Fred Meyer's or Kroger, if that's what they're called in your area. It's only like $1 something, so it's super cheap. It's not the highest quality, obviously, but what I do is I add it to the pan. And so we get that in there. We're just going to stir it in a bit. And we're doing it this way because it isn't the highest quality of herbs. It's going to, the heat and the sweats from the meat is going to help release some of that flavor. These are all tips I learned from watching YouTube. So again, we're just going to let that heat up. I added some extra herbs because I like it to have lots of flavor. And then I'm also adding some black pepper just to get a little kick in there. Not a lot. I don't know if you can see here, but you can see that the meat is starting to sweat. Starting to release some of those juices. I'm going to let it go for a little bit more. We want to wait till we start hearing the sizzling. Stir it up a little bit more, and then we'll add the sauce. You can hear that sizzling. We're not trying to crisp up the meat. Like I said, we just want to get it to sweat really well. Let's see, there's definitely some juices there. And it usually gets this point about the same time as my water starts to boil. So we're going to add our salt. I add a small handful of salt. And then get that salt stirred through. And I generally will stir this a couple times because I'm not trying to let it stick to the pan. So I just stir it once or twice. And then I'm going to turn, once it gets to a good rolling boil, I'm going to turn it down to a medium high so that it's easier to keep an eye on. You can hear my kielbasa is heating up here. So this is where we add the sauce. Get that stirred in real good. And we're going to let that come to a small boil before we add the tomato paste. Now, if you get it when the meat sweats really well and you add the tomato sauce, sometimes you'll get this really nice, it's an oily sheen. I don't know if you can see that, but it makes the sauce like so smooth and velvety, and it just adds so much of that kielbasa flavor to the sauce. It's really, really good. So, when it comes to the pasta, you're going to want to read the box's directions in terms of like how long you're going to cook it for. And you can use different types of pasta. I prefer penne. I think it holds the sauce a lot better. It's just easier to eat. I've tried using spirals. I know it's called something else. I just call it spirals. And it was okay, but I just think the penne holds the flavor better. Now we see it's starting to boil. So we're going to add the tomato paste. Oh, See, even I can make a mess. I often do. Alright. So I use the whole can of tomato paste. If you have a different way that you'd like to make your sauce thicker, then by all means do so. This is just how I do it because it's easy. So we just very gently, we're not trying to stir it too fast because we don't want to splatter. So we're just going to slowly spread it out until we can get it thoroughly mixed in with the sauce. Now that I've got it thoroughly mixed, I'm just going to let it sit for a minute. If it starts to boil again, I'm going to turn the burner down to probably medium-low, just to let it simmer and marry those flavors together. Pasta's got a ways to go before it's finished. It's probably got about 7 minutes. When it gets down to be about the 2 or 3 minute mark, sometimes I'll check the sauce and I'll test its consistency, and if it seems a little thick than I'd like, I add some of the pasta water to the sauce. And it thins it out, and the starch from the water really blends together with it well. Just makes it a really amazing consistency. So you can see it's starting to bubble up just a little bit. And I want it to stay hot, but I don't want it to cook too much, so we're just going to turn it down to about medium-low. And just let it chill for a little bit. If I notice that it starts to bubble up a lot more, then I'll turn it down more, but I generally think medium-low is probably a good temperature to keep it at. And I'll stir it occasionally just to keep it from sticking to the bottom. But yeah, mostly you can just let it sit and combine its juices. Also, ignore this back burner. It's really gross and disgusting, but we never ever use it, so don't worry, it's not going to catch fire or nothing. We're getting close to being done, so I'm just taking some of the water and adding it to the sauce. Because when it's cooking, it's also cooking down, so it's going to get thicker. And the pasta water just gets it to be perfect. Okay. Now, my husband handles the straining and all of that, so what we usually do is we'll strain this, put it in back in the pot, and then add the sauce to it, mix it up really good, and then we serve it up into the dishes. Finished product. It's super yummy. It's super hot, so I'm not going to take a bite yet. But we make this every week, and it's a big favorite here at the household. So have a great day. Love you. Bye.